Alrighty. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Dieketseng Ntondini. I don't think people know my real name, but I'm Dieketseng Ntondini. I'm a mental wellness coach, facilitator, mentor with NMM, and a mental health advocate. And again, thank you for being here. I'd like to thank each speaker for heeding my request the first time. I don't think there's nobody that I had to ask twice. Everybody was like, yes, we are interested. So I'm very happy about that. And thank you. And the fact that I planned this and executed it in less than a month shows what passion and a vision can accomplish. And it can only be God. To Him be the glory forever and ever. Amen. So, how We Are Minds, the organization is called We Are Minds. And how that came about is there was an organization a few years back, and they said they were interested in my mental health advocacy, and they're interested. I don't know if they were interested in funding me but then they said that, okay, for us to work together, you need to register an NGO. And I did. And guess what? They blue ticked me. So now I am with a company that I don't know what to do with it. But I have always, okay, not always, let me not exaggerate. It's always been a goal of mine to get into the space of men's mental health, because I've been in a psychiatric hospital 3 times, and every time I was the main. I mean, I'm talking about people that you say Papa Smamang. When we were at a class called DBT, they would be weeping, crying. And I always thought, why are there always a few men here? Yet the ones that are here, they are suffering more than the females. And I think that's when it started, and that was in 2013. And here I am with you guys. So this is what men's mental health means to me. Every day, a man's mind shapes the way he works, how he loves, how he fathers, and how he leads. His thoughts guide his actions, and his actions ripple into his family, his workplace, and his community. For his wife or partner, a calm mind means patience, support, and love. For his children, it means guidance, wisdom, and stability. For his parents and extended family, it means honor and strength. For his community, it means leadership, mentorship, and hope. But here's another truth. A man's mind cannot truly be at peace without God. The word reminds us, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, which is Romans chapter 12, verse 2. When a man anchors his thoughts in God's truth, he finds clarity. When he casts his cares on the Lord, he finds rest. When he lives by God's word, he discovers peace that the world cannot take away. And that is why my organization, We Are Minds, we say that a man's mind must be cared for, not just by wellness practices, but by spiritual grounding. Because when a man's mind is broken, homes are broken. But when his mind is whole, aligned with God, families thrive and communities rise. Yes, the man is called the head of the household, and I truly believe that. I am for men, and I believe men rule the world. Women, you can fight me on this, but I stand on that. But not to dominate, to serve, to protect, to guide. His mind is the compass that sets direction for those who look up to him. And if that compass is shaky, the household drifts. But if a man's mind is serene, rooted in God's word, the whole family benefits. And this is why my work, your work, and together, that is why it matters. Because when men heal, children inherit resilience. When men find peace, households find love. And when men walk with God, their communities find hope. A man with a relationship with God is not just strong. He is stable, wise, loving, and purposeful. His mental health flourishes because he carries his burdens differently, not alone, but with God. And when a man thrives, his spirituality, his family, peers, and community thrive with him. And with that said, I would like to take it over to you, Ezra. May everyone relax and enjoy as we learn from each speaker. I will get back to you at 8:15 when Tafsing, the last speaker, speaks, and then we'll have our conversation. Over to you, Ezra.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Um, yeah, excuse the nerves. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't publicly speak that often, so. But thank you so much, Deki, for just awarding the opportunity to be able to speak on your platform and just to share with fellow brothers and sisters. I think it's very vital and important that we have these discussions, we have these programs, and just these outlets at which we can just maybe take a breath and share with one another. Sort of like if you look at the disciples in the Bible, they kind of there's not one person who has one burden. Kind of all share their burdens amongst one another, and it's just more bearable that way. Okay, so getting into it for when discussing, renewing minds, men's mental health, and everything. First thing I just want to touch on, and I think this will be like my theme or topic, is that um, with one big thing that I have struggled with personally was not feeling like I could speak to anybody, not feeling as if I could reach out to anyone or share how I am feeling. And this obviously started at an early age. Being a child who had a father who died at a very young age, I was told by my family members as a little boy that I should be a man and that I shouldn't cry, I shouldn't be emotional, that I shouldn't the way I felt in that moment was not the right way to feel. So I kind of just, pushed that to the deep end and not let it come out. And obviously, what that ends up creating is it ends up creating sort of, the nonchalant men, the men who feel like they don't care about anything, they don't show or they don't express themselves in any kind of way. But it goes further when you start to develop, especially in adolescence. I had to live in a sort of toxic household, and living in a toxic household, I wish I had an outlet that I could speak to someone. I could speak to a friend. I could speak to a brother. I could speak to my mother, who at that time was acting in the role of my father, But even then, I never felt like I should go to her because since I was, 11 years old, I felt, and I was told by my own family that you shouldn't share this. You shouldn't feel this way as if I'm burdening somebody. So I always had that feeling that maybe if I share my emotions, I'm bothering them if I share anything, any sort of pain or struggle that is going on, and it kind of taught me a little bit of a self-reliance to say I don't need anyone in my life. I don't need to have any bonds or connection with anyone. And that has made me to this day feel it has made it a mission for me to form genuine bonds and relationships with people because I don't know how to necessarily cross that gap. How can I open up and let that person in, when I've just been raised to not do that at all. Um, and I just want to say maybe the changing point for me in my life was in 2021. This is in adulthood. And in 2021, up until this point, I had no one close to me. I didn't have any sort of genuine friendships or relationships. Everything was very surface level. The closest relationship I had was with my mother. She was, my confidant. So I would go to her, but a lot of the pains and struggles and things that deeply affected me as a human being and as a boy, I never even shared those things because I still felt like it's not my place as a man to share those things. You see, so obviously in adulthood, I had an encounter with Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian, born again, and when I had this encounter with Christ for the first time in my life, I remember myself just being on the verge of suicide, weeping in my um, kitchen floor, and just God called me. I had an encounter with the Lord, and for the first time in my life, I actually felt like I had a place to go to. I actually felt like I had an outlet, someone I could talk to, someone who already knows what I'm struggling with without me even having to share it. And that made it so easy for me to actually speak to God, even though I didn't know God, but it made it easy for me to speak to God about how I felt, speak to God about my depression, speak to God about my suicide, speak to God about self-harming, speak to God about um, the pain of losing my father and the pain of not really growing up with genuine friendships or relationships like that. So um, I had this encounter with the Lord, and when I had this encounter with the Lord, it it changed everything that I knew because I started reading the Bible. And for the first time in my life, I didn't see this with other men, but I saw this in the Bible, right? It's a time when Lazarus died and Mary was crying over Lazarus being dead. And Jesus saw this. Jesus, being a man who claims to be God, he saw this and he himself wept. This man slash God, this person that I cared for so much, wept over the death of someone. And that taught me that if someone dies, if there's a big loss in my life, I could also cry. It's okay for me to feel hurt. It's okay for me to feel sad. And I should express myself that way. I should lash out. I should reach out. And even if I can't do any of those things and if there's no one around, I should still cry, even if it's by myself in my bed or in the comfort of my own home. But that was really just a changing point for me. And I felt ever since I've had that encounter with Christ, um, it's given me a lot of strength and a lot of encouragement to go out there to speak to people, to reach out to people. And I've done that actually over the last couple of years to the point where I'm less depressed now, I'm less anxious now, and I'm able to confidently reach out to a friend. I'm able to confidently reach out to a family member, to reach out to my mother and share every single thing that does bother me. And I could only say that since I've been doing that, I have I have never been depressed again in the last 4 years now. I've never had another depressive episode. I have not had any suicidal thoughts at that time because if anything happens, I just reach out and I speak to somebody about it. So if I could maybe just share a just a verse or two, if that's okay, Deki, right?
Yeah, of
In
course.
Matthew chapter 11, right, verse 28, Jesus says that um, for those who are heavy burdened and who are heavy laden, that you should come to me and I will give you rest. And even for the non-religious people who are listening to this, it's essentially it just means that if you are going through something, if you are feeling like there's no way out, please hear me. If you feel like there's no way out, if you feel like you're hurting, if you feel like no one understands, and it feels like the world is closing in on you, reach out. Reach out to the person that is closest to you, even if it's not a friend, even if it's a colleague, even if it's a family member, someone maybe you feel safe with at least. Please reach out because that could change your life. It could change everything. And to offload like that, it'll give you the rest that you need. Because often when you deal with depression and suicide and self-harming and these things and substance abuse, it's because we're trying to escape how we're feeling. We're trying to gain some sort of rest. And normally, unfortunately, a lot of men take their lives because they're too tired to continue with their suffering. So they seek rest through self deletion. But the rest you need is just a friend away. The rest you need is a call away. And that's sort of the message that I have just to share with everyone to say, please reach out. And if you cannot reach out to anyone, reach out to God. He's always listening. Psalms 139, right, verse 8. It's my favorite verse in the Bible, and it says that if I ascend to heaven, God, you are there. But even if I make my bed in the deepest depths of hell, you are also there. So God is there everywhere and anywhere. So reach out loud. Speak to the Lord. If there's no one else you could speak to, He will answer you. And yeah, reach out. We love you. I love you. And yeah, that's my piece to share. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Thank you, Ezra. Brian, over to you.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Dee. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone. Um, thanks a lot, everyone. I'm sorry about that. For having me here. Firstly, I like to thank this Israel that what you have said. It is very touching and everything.
Hmm.
As a man, it questioned almost everything that I went through back there in life. That if ever I had an opportunity to take things the way you are saying. I'm sorry, just a sec.
Please put it on silent.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. Thanks a lot for that. I'm sorry for inconvenience for that. I was just
It's okay.
uh, man, we go through a lot. Man, we go through a lot. There are a lot of things that we go through them, and then we are not able to talk to anyone about them. And there are things that we grow up having it. Some of us we have childhood trauma. Some of us we have been raised in a different way. Dilo di ngata tse e leng gore banna re tlhakana le tsona. And then if ever if ever you are not sharing whatever things that you're going through to anyone, you keep it to yourself, those things, they will end up building inside of you. You'll becoming danger to yourself. You'll also come in danger to people that are around to you, people that are next to you. For us to break the stigma and everything that we have learned while we're growing, ba re botsa gore monna ha lle ke nku o llela ka mo teng. Monna tshwanetse gore a nne strong, whatever e leng gore he tla mo wena tshwanetse gore wena o e tseye as a man. You don't have to share things to people ba tlo tsang ka re o stlaela wena o flop, but they will take you like you're stupid or something. You are weak. So this thing is too much. And then we so glad that you have created this platform so that we can open up. And it's not simple for us to open up in a public place like platform like this, but it's not exactly what personally we're going through, but it's what men go through. As a man, we understand better gore whenever o bona the other man a ntse mola a le one and then a sa bolele a le quiet, you know gore there is something wrong, because the feeling that man going through, you know it, but the other person may not understand. Some people, they feel like it's too much, everything is just too much. I'm ending my life, I cannot take this anymore, I cannot handle it, I have to put this thing to an end. You take your life. When you look at people that are around you, people that are surrounding you, you don't feel like there is one who you can talk to. It's where then you turn yourself to God. You kneel down. And it's not simple also. It takes courage to do that. You have to be a husband. You have to be a father. You have to be a hero for the family. You have to be a very good colleague. You have to be a father also to the society, the young brothers, people that they see you out there. But they don't know what you're going through, things that you come across. If we can list the things tse leng gore we as men we come across, tse leng gore they are challenge, you might ask yourself, how are we surviving? How do we survive all those things? Unemployment, making a difference out there. We don't sleep at night. We don't. And especially if ever you are not able to talk to your partner or you are not having someone to talk to. So you're going to end up killing yourself, feeling like everything is just too much for you. And you end up taking the whole stress, the whole things that they happen to you, to your partner. You become violent, you become abusive, you become all those bad things. Because you need where you can release the stress, where you can put away those things. So those are the things that we're going through. And it takes someone to understand this person really need help. And then even if people, they can notice that you really need help, but it starts with you. You by yourself, you have to understand that this is not good. This is not human. If you accept that you need help and you talk to someone about it, that is a very good start. But if you keep things to yourself, you become danger to yourself. You become a suicide risk. You become unfit to be a father. You become, I don't know, to your wife, how will she sees you or your partner. I just don't have much to say. And then the main thing is gore rena re le banna re imetswe. And then we need to accept that it's good as a man to cry. It's good as a man that things didn't go the way you expected. And it's good to go out there and seek help. Cheap. We do have feelings, emotions, all those things. But the environment who is men don't cry. Men must be strong all the time. Everything that you do, internalize them. Keep it to yourself. So this platform, refer that opportunity no, it's okay to cry. It's okay to fail as a man. But remember, whenever things don't go to your in your way, it's not the end. You have an opportunity to start again. And then by that, you won't be starting from scratch, but you'll be starting from an experience, and then you have learned something out of it. There are a lot of men, they are not able to talk. And then they decide that, no, I'll run to alcohol, so I will be able to sleep at night. I don't believe all those people that are out there, they have no purpose of life. They are all failures. Some of them, they did not have the platform to talk. They did not have that environment that they can open up about things that they go through. They end up having depression. You know, a guy, I went to high school with this guy. He was one of the best. What happened? What went wrong? Why this guy Aleso? So, as generally the brothers studying more paneling, so long no. Whenever you feel this way, you go and pray, and after that you'll feel better. I never talk to anyone about few things, but I'm able to talk to you, D, about them sometimes in our private conversation. Like today, some of the people, they're almost, I don't know how many people that are listening to us here. I've tried to commit suicide more than twice. The last time I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to do this to myself. Whatever I'm going through, it will be better tomorrow. That's why we have hope. we hope that tomorrow things will be better. I told myself I might be behind with things in life, but I'm not late. It's not the end. I strongly believe gore he motho a santsane a phela a kry-a letsatsi le lengwe gape, it means there is something e leng gore e ka change, something positive can come out mo mothong o. That's why I don't believe gore motho o late as long as a santsane a phela. Whenever re ngwala program ya motho a tlhokofetseng, we're saying the late Gomba bride passed away. He's late. That person is gone. There is nothing you can do. Everything, the chapter is finished. But as long as you're still alive, there is hope. There is hope. And then does not mean those people who did not make it in life, they are failure or they are useless. Go na le dilo tse go leng gore di ba tlhagetse ba feel gore a ona ntho ba ka irang, ba lapile ba tlogela ntho ngwe le ngwe. It's fine, it's okay. Once motho a fitlha mo stageng sa gore go bolela le ena a re no, it's fine, it's okay, ha sana taba, whatever e bolelang ka yona is fine. That person e tsere the effort gore a fitlhe mo. So rena banna a re bolele go thoma o re wa bolela, you become you abusive. Go thoma o nyaka go ntsha di-feelings tsa gago, o na le dilo tse e leng gore wena o bjang bjang. No, man up. Why o nyaka go share dilo tse tshwana le tseo? Man up. You are not a man enough now. But you're trying to clear something. So I don't know, I don't want to go much about these things. I'm here to learn also. There are a lot of people who went through in life, they made it out and stronger than before. And today I'm one of those people who will be a very good listener. I'll be taking advices. I'll be learning. For no, all along, I was wrong by doing this to myself. All along, I was wrong to isolate myself, hiding from people, hiding from reality, hiding from being with people, isolating myself, securing my environment, believing that if ever I put myself in a place whereby I'll be myself all the time, no one will hurt me. I'll be expecting nothing from anyone. So whenever
Painter, please mute.
Whenever something or anything, you isolate yourself. The main reason you feel I'm not good enough. Those people, they will hurt me. So let me keep everything safe to myself. If it kills more environment, my special space, no one will hurt me. Because of until you self-confidence. You will more well. You will pride the ela how. For you press it, you oppress yourself. So we have to break that thing. We have to give back to ourselves, or no, I deserve this. So I don't want to be much. There are a lot of people that they want to share, advise us, guide us, so we can change the environment, we can change the stigma, we can break it. It's not always bad. There is hope. There is hope for the different. And we cannot give up now. We've been through a lot. We cannot. We cannot afford to. Every day when I wake up, before I do everything, I will kneel down and pray and God, whatever happen, as long as ilitato ya how, let it happen. But please, not today. Not today. We learn as we grow. Today I'll be learning something. Tomorrow I will also learn something. Thanks a lot for this opportunity. Let me pass it to the other one so that you want to all by myself. But out of everything, as a support, we highly appreciate it. Ke a leboga. Ke leboga thata, thata, thata.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. We're gonna go to Sitlesem Kosi. Take it away.
Thank you. So it's quite interesting as we speak about mental health, and more specifically speaking about as men, thinking about our own inequities, our own fears. And quite frankly, some of the biggest pressure that we face, and really where it boils down to, for me, it used to boil down to how am I as a man treated by my family, not just by my wife, but my extended family, my uncles, my aunts. Am I part of family conversations, or am I left out of family conversations? And the entire process of being someone who's seen as responsible, to seen as your value and your opinions are required within the family. One of the other things as well is being able to, as Brian was saying, do not worry about what other people think about yourself. And for me, one of the biggest lessons for that really came for me early years, 2013, 2014. That's when I had dropped out of university. That's when I'd said that I wanted to focus on building companies. That's when I had, through reading books like As a Man Thinketh, to reading books like Think and Grow Rich and all those books, they had a huge impression on me. And I took it over and above in terms of to heart and went right into all of those things. And one of the biggest things that I had to first overcome in that journey was having my entire family tell me that I've made a wrong decision. Having from aunts to uncles to mothers to sisters, not a single person didn't have an opinion about what I'd done. And it was during that phase where I had to make my own view of myself, my own view of what I wanted to accomplish, my own view of what I wanted to build in my life as the foremost thing that was at the forefront over and above what my family thought. It also gave me the ability to remove myself from a point where now everybody has that opinion, and only listen based on the people who had experience in what they were doing, and not listen to opinions in my life, because I realized that some people will come with criticism but never with a way forward, because their responsibility in your life predominantly is to just show you the faults. They are not there to tell you what to do. They're not there to show you the direction. They are only there to tell you your fault. And if you only listen to what they say, then you'll only see the faults of your life. And so through that process, having gone through that, I realized one of the biggest things that as men we fall short is preparation. Women prepare. You prepare for marriage. You prepare for finance. You prepare for your life. You read books on it. You prepare yourself mentally. You prepare for kids. You mentally go through something and prepare yourself before it happens. By the time it happens, it's like replay. You can see things as they come. You're able to tackle them. when they come. In my early years, I prepared a lot. I read a lot of books. I remember I read as Road Less Travel by Sam Beck. I read As a Man Thinketh. I read T.D. Jakes' He Motions. There was a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy, which was a preparation even for my relationship, because it were things where I used to go through and I realized that I'm not fully prepared for this. And I need to learn some books, read and learn and prepare myself. And it was through that act of preparation that enabled me to realize that it's not just, there are other things you need to prepare for, but once you've prepared yourself mentally, the other aspects is easier to do, because you've already prepared yourself mentally that I'm going to go through suffering. I'm going to go through hard times. I'm going to go through periods of criticism. I'm going to go through periods of sacrifice, sacrificing good things that I want for future things that I need. That enables for easier, where when hard things happen, when difficulties happen, it's not now a matter of life happening to you, but it's a matter of you preparing for the next chapter of what you're doing, of where you're going. And as a machita, we don't prepare. And I always say this, machita, prepare yourself for what's to come. Work on it. Prepare yourself, try and get yourself in a mental state. Having a goal as well is very, very, very important. And when I say goal, I don't just mean financially. I mean also in marriage. I mean also in life. If you write it down, as they say, write it down, let it not tear, because in time it shall become reality. And that is a powerful scripture, because it's not because I'm saying it, because I've seen it manifest in my life. And it's always awe-inspiring to see something you wrote down 5 years ago becoming a reality when you thought it was just a dream. And when, as he said, a ship without a destination will hit the rudders. If you don't have a destination, if you don't have a goal, you can't get there. And it's something I realized when, before I had set goals for myself, I was going from this module to this module. I was going from this occupation to this occupation without realizing what I actually wanted, because I didn't know what I wanted. And then when I started setting goals, it was easier for me to not listen to people tell me that I'm not going in the right direction. Because for me, the direction I was going was not something they were seeing. For me, the direction was forward. So why am I highlighting this in terms of mental health? I believe that one of the biggest issues about mental health is really just on the basis that we're not pursuing what we want in life. And when you're not doing that, and when you're not going through that, there are times where depression will come. It comes for everybody in lonely times, where you're sitting alone thinking, is this going to happen? Am I going to get out of this rut? Am I going to get out of this period? When is this season going to end in my life? Am I going to get to another area where it's going to be better? But if you don't have anything that you're working towards, it feels like you're drowning. And that's really where it's sometimes so difficult when sharing this to people, is that it's very difficult to understand in of itself, because only when you are active in the process do you realize how much it's good for yourself as well. The other thing is, one thing I realized in life is, once you have set yourself your path, everyone will accept it. And then once they've accepted, everyone will support you. Which is very counterintuitive, because you think people are never going to support in terms of what you do. They're going to see you and say, no, you're not in the right place. They see you and say, yes, you failed in this. But one of the most interesting things is, when they know they can't convince you of anything else except what you're doing, The only option they have is to support. And when that happens, everything just clicks into place, because at that stage, people will support you financially. People will support you even when you are down. People will still support you. Even when you fail and you don't have anything else, people will give you a place to stay. People will give you some food. People will enable you to be able to get back on your feet, because they know that you always have this one thing that you're doing, you're focusing on, and it's easier for them to support you because they know you don't have a so yeah, there's a saying that says, prayer and faith is not when you sit down and kneel. It's when you are in the field and work. Because as you are sowing, you are praying. As you are taking out the weaves, you are praying. As you are harvesting, you are praying. Prayer is in and of itself action. It's not only when you are on your knees taking a time to pray. And hence why, for me, my biggest form of prayer is thanksgiving, first and foremost, before even praying on anything else. And then also thanksgiving for others and thanksgiving for everything. Before I start even asking, before I start asking for protection, before I start asking for hope, before I start asking for anything else, that's the first point of reference, is thanksgiving. Because that's what I feel is the most important aspect of prayer. Because that's when, even to the scripture, when Jesus said that when the servant came back and came and thanked God, and God was like, where are the others who came and prayed and asked? You are the only one who's coming back to say thank you. And we don't pray enough in thanksgiving. And that is very important. And once you have that form of prayer, you know that your prayer of asking is action, but your prayer with God is thanksgiving. That can really change your life. But that's, for me, is all that I have. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And I hope that some people are impacted from it.
Thank you, Sihle Nkosi. Over to Lunga.
Wow. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, cool. I was just double checking because I'm using these headphones.
Okay.
Wow. I can do a video.
Yes.
Okay, I'm here. Good evening, everybody. Wow. My sister, to the host. Shout out to you, to the most. This is really, literally, a remarkable space to be in. I thank my brothers who have spoken before me. I thank God for you, and I'm humbled and I'm honored to be here. Another part that really kind of brings me one of the most greatest joy is to be in this space right now, and all the gents have been speaking about Jesus, speaking about their faith, speaking about how that is a cornerstone of them. And yo, that's amazing. Glory be to God. Let me not preach because I think uko kwambele befuna ukuthi ngibe umfundisi, so I kind of missed that. But this is really great. Really great. I want to pick up from a comment I saw in the chat. I'm not sure who it was from. I think it was Chab, if I'm not mistaken. Speaking about taking a girl child to work. I remember that initiative was a really amazing initiative because the scales were a bit unbalanced, uneven, right? Um, and then they had to get the girl child up, which is an amazing concept, an amazing campaign, and I feel that it worked a lot, and I thank God for that because our sisters are up. We should give ourselves a round of applause for that because as gents, we also spearheaded that. As the men who were in power then, or we had influence, they spearheaded that. Host, please help me if maybe my sound disappears or there's some noises on my side so that I can adjust accordingly. Um, yeah. So that why am I starting off with that? Because I want to kind of iterate still there. There was a call coming in. I had to cut it off. Why am I bringing that up? It's because I want to us to remember who we are as gents. I think sorry, previous speaker before me um spoke about our place as men, spoke about how we should really kind of carry ourselves. I love what you shared. I even took a note of it. How we need to prepare ourselves as men, just like how women do. The reason why I took note of that is because, hey, in Shailes, it hit me because it's like I'm one of those guys also myself. There's certain things I can really fully prepare for. You know, it's enough, like, you know, as a machita, you know, we always say, it's the one pumpy, you know, so Shanganese,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be okay. Preparation is a powerful thing. And that's what we done those years ago when we were trying to lift up the girl child, and that was amazing. So we are resourceful. We have the influence. We have the ability to change the climate of our environment where we are. Just like the gent have said that when you read and you empower yourselves, you are able to not just change yourself. Even the host said it in the intro that when you empower a man or you empower yourself as a man, you'll be able to not just transform yourself and your community around you, but the world all around. You know. When I remember, I didn't introduce myself. Rumgangalan Ndovu. I am a life coach, an NLP practitioner. That's by profession, and also um, I'm an account manager for Mr. D, and I work for Take a Lot. Um, and I'm a father of four wonderful children, two girls and two boys. I thank God for them, and I thank God that I have an opportunity to be a custodian over them, and God has chosen me to be there. It has not always been like that. I didn't have preparation. Because I was not prepared for most of these things that can happen in my life. But I thank God that intervention happened and I was able to transform myself. So before I continue on with what I was sharing, then let me also um, add more into my journey. I'm not gonna talk too much about myself, but I'm gonna talk more about the work and things that I've done and do in the space of mental health. Um, So years ago, I started cycling. I used the bicycle and working out and things as a means to deal with and cope with all these. Because the theme today, right, is about um, renewing, right? So I'm correct, nah? Renewing,
Yes. Renewing
yeah, renewing
minds.
minds and restoring hope. Yes, I love that. I love that. I needed my mind needed to be renewed. I needed a reset. I needed a day one. I needed to start over. And the bicycle somehow was my tool, my means of renewing and restoring hope in myself because I found myself very lost, very, very lost, just like how my brothers have shared before. And then when I started cycling, I was in Port Elizabeth and like I just started just, just to give it healthy, and this is what everyone, give it great. But over time, I just kept on pedaling, and something inside of me, something burning inside of me, kept on saying to me, "I gotta keep going." And I wanted to discover and solve the solution because I had so many questions, and I wanted to, why is life so hard? But I couldn't see no way. What are you? But how do I make it not easier, but how do I make it bearable? And I started cycling, started talking to me. Because I'm also got a background in working in radio. At the time, I was working at a community radio station, and I posted this comments and questions to other men, other people, like my brothers had mentioned, reaching out and connecting and speaking to other men can really help answer and help lighten the load. So I done that, and as time went on, I started cycling, and 10 kilometers became 1,000 kilometers across provinces. And I started a campaign called Ride Abuse. Abuse stops with me. This was back in what, 2015, 2016. That men also go through abuse, but at that time it's very taboo for indoda ukuthi ikhulume ukuthi iyahlukumezeka in a relationship, whether physical, emotional, or financial, or otherwise. Like, my brother said, or "Monna o lla ka gare." You don't complain. You just gotta do and figure it out as you go. Another brother said, "Roba la ka jwala," because you want to numb things. You want to not feel less than. You want to feel something before you sleep. So I started going on the road. I started taking this campaign on the road, and I started seeing a lot of people, not just me. And I started cycling across provinces, talking to men, finding out their stories. That's when men started kind of coming out, talking about, hey, I was abused. And then I took my bicycle, kaya ko Limpopo, Polokwane. I'm Zulu, but I grew up in Limpopo. So I went there. I mean, I cycled from Pretoria, Joburg, Mpumalanga, Polokwane. I ended up in Zanin. That was 1,000 kilometers, over 16 days of activism, GBV. But my message was not only just talk about women, but I was saying men are also suffering, And then it was kind of taboo, like I said. It's like a space is sabasad, like you wanna compete and say, "Ah, I'm gonna watch it," But it was a genuine thing. Men needed a voice, and that I genuinely felt like, let me be that guy. I don't know why, but God planted it on me. Years went on. I took the campaign across Africa. I went to 3 African countries, cycling from Palabora all the way to Lesotho, Southern and Mozambique. That was about 3,000 kilometers. 4 African countries, a lot of cities, many days of cycling. And there was something about suffering. I think the safest thing was to mention something about suffering. In my own suffering in cycling, you can imagine cycling all these ways was the most excruciating experience. But I loved it. And through that suffering, I was able to find something. That voice I was looking for, that answer I was looking for. You know where it was? It wasn't out there. It wasn't in any of the cities I cycled to. It wasn't in any of the competitions that I had. But all these things were all inside of me. I needed to understand me. And I think that's a journey for all men. It's discovery. You discover yourself. You learn how to love yourself as you are. You learn how to grow yourself, like my brother said, preparing yourself. At those days, I was used to read Buddhism. I was into that. I'm a born again Christian myself, but I was reading a lot of spirituality because I wanted to find answers. And then the last campaign I done was from Johannesburg to Cape Town. I cycled. I went to KZN, Free State. I was alone on that campaign. It took me 42 days, 3,000 kilometers, to Cape Town on my bicycle, all by myself. And it was then that I discovered it was me. I met this one man who also tried to kill himself. Um, he was working as a what do you call them? Car guard. Car guard. It's a white gentleman. One born like I come with my bicycle and I pull up and I park my bicycle. He comes to me. He's like, "Yo, where are you coming from?" Because I got this backpack and I'm sunburnt. I'm not looking so healthy because I've been on the road for a long time. This is East London. So he offers to buy me something to drink and eat. Right? I don't know this guy at this point in time. We converse. I tell him what I'm doing. I'm cycling for gender-based violence, but I'm more and substance abuse. I'm cycling for men. I'm trying to give men a voice. I'm trying to find a platform and a space where men can feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable and not find their vulnerability to be a weakness, but a strength. This man listened to me as I was blabbering on, and he started forming little tears in his eyes, and I'm like, "Okay, what's wrong? Are you okay?" He's like, "Man, growing up, I was abused by my father, and he shared his life story. Like he's poured out on me. Like he poured out, and that was my experience. Every time I was cycling, men will pour out, like they will pour out, like what's going on. So he's sharing with me his life story, what happened to him, and so on and so forth. And it's like now that I see you here, I'm able to now fully let go of my trauma, fully let go of what has happened because here's a crazy black man who has cycled all the way from Johannesburg to Cape Town via Eastland, via KZN and all whatever. He's doing this. I can let go. And I'm like, wow, bro. And then I started talking. I'm like, yeah, so you stay in East London? What do you do? He goes, no, I'm a car guy. This man bought me meal. He bought me something to drink. I didn't ask for all these things, but he took the money he had made during the day and he bought me those things. The kick in this whole story, day before as I was cycling, because I was sharing my cycle on Facebook and so on. My eyes were hurt, like they were very painful, and I was like, yo, I posted on Facebook. I'm like, I need someone to maybe donate glasses or something for me. You know what this guy gave me? Like he said, look, I'm coming back. He'd not seen my Facebook post. He's like, I'm coming back. I've got something for you. Um, he went and got glass. He came back with these cycling glasses. He was like, yo, I want you to take this. Use this for the rest of your trip. I'm like, what? And the same day when I was cycling, I remember I was re-uttering this renewed mind, renewed spirit, because I was praying to God. My body was broken at that time. Like, I mean, I'd been cycling for more than 30 days. Everything hurts. I couldn't cycle anymore. It was really, really painful. And I was just like a mantra of saying, God, give me the strength, renew my mind, revitalize my body, strengthen me. You know, there's a scripture where you say you pray to God, God will give you, He will renew your mind and restore your body. You know what this guy gave me? He gave me a book titled Renewed Mind, Renewed Spirit. That's when I knew God was, because when I got to East London, I was saying, I get so hell, I'm going back home. I'm abandoning this whole campaign. Who cares about men that have you used the women? Because I'm alone. I'm cycling by myself. I'm hurt. I want to go home. You know, my back was painful. My elbows were gone. My knees were just gone. That's the power of standing up. That's what I got from all of that. When you're just about to give up, God steps in and He takes over. Whether or your higher being, whatever you may believe in that is higher than who you are, steps in and helps you navigate life. So if if anything that one should take from conversations with men, especially in these spaces, is that you are not alone. Men want to commit suicide, in my opinion, and what I've discovered also as a life coach, and also um, I've started this men's camp. I started a men's camp where men can go. We go and we camp for a couple of days, a safe space for us to not just kind of cry and share things, but just for us to be men, but to be able to speak and unpack real life things. In the wilderness, I like camping, I like being outdoors. Um, Most of the men, when I'm speaking to them, they say that, dude, I don't want to kill myself. Like, I don't want to die, like, stop living. I just want this pain and this thing to just stop for a day. I don't want to, like, I don't want to die. I want to break. Like, yo, can I just breathe for a minute? And for them at the moment, they think that in their life will give them that moment to say, you know, no, yeah, whatever, yo, we may lang, we will start and then start. I'm saying you don't have to get to that level. I'm saying you don't have to get to that level. Like my brother said, as you prepare yourself, as you learn yourself, I've gone and understood the power of just meditation, the power of breath. You know, when you wake up in the morning, you automatically are breathing. You've done nothing to breathe. That's God. That's you. That's the power that you have in you. So that's my kind of my. There's so much more that I'd love to share, but that's my 2 cents worth in this forum. Uguti, gents, we are not alone, and we are not just fathers. We're not just brothers and pillars of strength, but we're people inspiration. You may not see yourself as an inspiration, but people around you who look at you and see you find you to be inspirational. You don't need to be really amazing to be inspiration. You just need to live it. You just need to show up and try the level best that you can do. Having a support structure is important. Being learning how to communicate. See, now our vocabulary, our emotional vocab is very limited. There is Akinyagi, or not right now, or just give me some time, or hey, I don't like what you're doing. It's not rich. It's not a rich of vocabulary of expressing how you feel. I would encourage us to learn more how to express our emotions and feelings. And another thing that I've kind of picked up also in my own personal life and just also interacting with more men is that we tend to be very self-centered, and this is not sometimes not an intentional thing. It's more of a protective mechanism because we're protecting ourselves to be self-centered, and that kind of overflows into being egotistic, and also kind of also overflows to being very prideful. It overflows into other toxic kind of traits. They're not toxic. It's a protective mechanism. We need to learn how to speak to that inner child, that 14-year-old boy or a 10-year-old boy who was ignored or hurt or abandoned by a dad or a mom or told they were nothing, or a woman who left you when you needed someone the most and you realized them so much. You need to talk to that hurt boy or that hurt man so that he can heal. Once he's healed, you'll be able to move forward and be strong. Don't compare yourself to the next brother because you don't know what he's dealing with and what he's masking. Because we are pretenders, we are performers. We perform. Give us a stage and we'll perform. I heard a guy said to me one time, Lunga, why you guys will keep quiet when you're sitting in a crowded room of people you know? It's because to each person you're a different character. To each person you're a different character. So you don't know which person to be when you're in a crowded room. And it's a very dangerous thing. Because it means that you find yourself to be uncomfortable in your own skin. You find yourself to be uncomfortable in your own inadequate nature. We think that we need to be perfect. Why? Because our world around us is not perfect. Because everyone else is said to us to be perfect. So while you think you need to prepare yourself to show yourself in a particular way. And yet your greatness, my brother, is in you as you are. That's the greatness. My son, my 14-year-old son, keeps saying to me, "Yo, Dad, you know, inspiration." Sometimes I look at him like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean inspiration?" Because I'm thinking he should be looking at football players and basketball players and rich guys, like really wealthy people, to be the inspiration. But he sees that, and I ask him, "Why do you say that?" He's like, "No, because you're always encouraging me, and I see you always supporting me, and I see you waking up to run. I see you doing these things, and even when you're tired, and you tell me." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't think that was an effective way to parent, but clearly Lunga's doing, I think, a pretty good job. I can't wait for someone else to come and tell me I'm doing a good job. This is a healthy balance of self-awareness and be grand. You just need to remind ourselves of that. And in closing, so that I don't ramble, there's a few sayings. The first one is I heard I'm part of a lot of groups because I'm a believer of healing the boy, child, and the man. So I'm part of many different kinds of communities. So the one community that I'm part of, a gentleman, we were sharing because we meet once a week. He was sharing is like, Lunga, a sober dad is a present dad, and a present dad is a good dad. I'm like, oh, nah, you know, don't feel attacked. I'm not saying don't drink, bro. I'm not saying don't have a drink. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a sober dad is a good dad, a present dad, and the present dad is a good dad. So let's try and do those things. And another thing is, I believe at this point in time where we are in 2025, we need us as men to be more, what's the word, intentional, more intentional, if, aggressive, if you like, about our stance, about who we are, and what we offer the community and the world, because the boy child is hidden. The boy child is Rimboni, Rimboni Fichara Kakul. I speak a lot in high school, at high schools. And when I look at the leadership in high schools, like, yo, you head boy, head girls, it's only head girls. Nothing wrong with that. Please don't get it wrong. Nothing wrong with women in leadership. Yes. But where are the men? Where are the boys? Bago, Pamachi, you know? And we need to kind of relook how we communicate to them. And the boys I've noticed, I got two boys. I tell them not to do this and I do something else, and they do exactly what I do. I've got this bad habit of sometimes sleeping in front of the couch. I found my son sleeping in front of the couch, in front of the TV. I mean, like I do. So, in closing, let's be the man that you believe you are, and I'm grateful that you are here, bro. And take care of yourself. And trust me, the more you take care of yourself, we see it. People around you see it. They may not say this to you, but I'm very proud of you. And host, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless everybody else. Let me leave you the scripture, which is for me, guides me through all things. It's James chapter 1. It says that through trials and tribulations, our faith is made strong. I'm paraphrasing. The trials and tribulations, our faith is made strong, and God's glory is seen through us. So, my brother, keep shining, keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Lunga. Sia, it's your turn.
Sanbonani, good evening. My name is Yatandaza Sotish. A quick, brief biography or let you guys know a bit more about me. Born in the Western Cape, Cape Town, but raised in the Eastern Cape, in a small city called Butterworth. This topic is a very touchy topic, although I won't be long due to circumstances, but I really want to be here. As a man, as an adult, as a brother, as a son who had to grow up quickly in life due to the circumstances of being raised by a single mother. I have so much that I would like to share, but I think maybe in essence of time, I'll try and give a summary. As a teenager who grew up, I was bullied a lot for quite a number of reasons. As a boy who was raised by a single mother who did not have a lot, but always tried to put food on the table. It was not as fancy as one would see it, but to me was enough. I had a plate of food on the table. It's good for me. But I remember one time, I think in 2004, 2003, I grew up in an informal settlement, by the way. We call it Mkukwini. Paraffin. We didn't have paraffin to warm up water. My mom warmed the water outside with your wood. When I got to school, I was smelling the wood. But I was clean. I remember this boy calling me Nginuginza. That has haunted me for I think more than 20 years, to say it's the smaller things that we take for granted in life. Having a plate to eat, a warm bath, shelter, regardless of what shelter one has, bouncing from one informal settlement to another. my mom found herself in an abusive relationship with back then stepfather, which gave me an impression that why all these things are happening to me. As a high schooler, I used to go to part time at a local shop at home, Butterworth, where I would have to make money so that I can buy shares assembly. You know, as a firstborn, you need to make sure if your mom can't provide, and as a Xhosa boy, you need to stand up and make means. Fast forward to 2011, when my mom had enough of the physical abuse, she decided to run from Butterworth and come to Gauteng. And I'm a firm believer of the Bible. God was raised to be umntana kaThixo. Used to go to church a lot. At some point, bengisindisiwe. As bubbly as I am, people would see you as you don't have problems because you're always laughing. And we sometimes hide our pain by just letting it pass and smile and don't think about it. But if it's not dealt with, if it's not confronted, it really comes back. So moving to Gauteng in 2011, my mom moving to Gauteng in 2011 really changed my life to what I am today. So in a nutshell, to say it was not easy to where I am today. I always pray to God to say, and at some point when I pray to God, because I don't want to be seen as to God to say I'm always asking in everyday prayer, I'm asking for this, I'm asking for that. Sometimes my prayer would be simple. Baba, siyabonga ukuthi sivukile namhlanje. Wasipha amandla ukuthi wasipha umphefumulo ukuthi ngivuke namhlanje. I'm grateful. Khona abangavukile. So this topic is a very touchy topic to me. And as someone who was, as mentioned earlier, was raised by a single parent. And I went on a mission to look for my dad. Found my dad around 2012. I tried to make a relationship with him because I'm a firm believer of getting two sides of the story. I didn't care why they broke up. I wanted to give him a chance to be the father that he was never in my life. But I later realized that he does not deserve me nor my mom's attention, for that matter. I can't say for what, but he is just a lot of work, that guy. And it broke me. I felt neglected. A father that didn't raise you, you took liberty to go and look for him, right? And after looking for him, you are the one as a child who's trying to make this relationship work. I would call. If I don't call, he doesn't call. 3 weeks will pass. And then in maybe in a month or two, he would call to say, "Hey, unqabile Fondini, usifihle." You know, but I would let those things slide because I was desperate for father's love. And then I think that the desperation of father's love was a void of the abuse that my mom had to endure, because I felt if he was there, my mom wouldn't have had to run away from Butterworth and come to Gauteng to look for new ventures because he's running from this monster. But God always has a plan. So I looked myself in the mirror and I asked myself, what is that I want? And I got an answer to say, the first thing one needs to do is I need to love myself more. So I started by loving myself more and avoiding seeking validation from my dad or seeking for love from my dad. And at some point I thought about it. I'm like, I really did let my mom down for looking for this guy, because I've never slept with an empty stomach. My mom provided. But why I wanted to go and seek and look for this guy? But I was happy. You know why? Because in my personality, I need to do something for me to be satisfied. So I knew that he was an absent father, and I gave him a chance to be the father that he was never, and he failed dismally. And I used to hate him, right? I used to hate him, but I self-reflected again to say, so hating him means I haven't healed. So I forgave him. My girlfriend said the other day, she's learning to accept unsaid apologies. So I started to reflect to say, unsaid apologies are important for one's healing, because you always want to revert to what happened, and it will take you back at some point. So I don't love him. I don't hate him. He's like a stranger, my father. So the healing is not an easy process, because I had to be a father at an early age. I had to grow up quickly. But God has always pulled through for me. I always, I'm so blessed. I have very supportive system, friends, very supportive. And there's one thing that I think I've learned in this life to say, in the bullying that I had to endure in primary, has given me a thicker skin and a good decision maker in my head to say, I don't compromise when it comes to my mental health. In a group of friends, especially when it comes to boys, making jokes about each other, it's a normal thing. It doesn't matter how it suits you or how you feel about it. If you explain yourself to say, but you are called names, princess, and things like that. So with that said, I don't compromise. I cut toxic friendships, because it's my mental health comes very much first. So I would like to leave you guys to say, we need more of these platforms. And there's one thing I would like to encourage my brothers and my sisters out there. Open up, find a confide, someone to talk to, because bottling things up is what gets us doing things that are out of the ordinary. So and another thing that I'd like to share is that I'm a harsh decision maker. So reacting to that, I taught myself to be I need to sit, think, a way to respond to things. So, in a nutshell, I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity, and can we have more of these sessions, Dicky? And appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sia. And our last speaker, the therapist, Tavi Singh. Take over, my darling.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm so sorry I joined in a bit late, but I did catch a bit of what Sia was saying, and a lot of what you spoke about is stuff, well, what he spoke about is stuff that I see at work. So, in a nutshell, like you said, I'm an occupational therapist. Most people don't know what an occupational therapist does, so let me just quickly explain what I am and what I do. Since I'm working in mental health, I deal with people that can't function in their daily lives, be it at work, be it in the home, be it socially, wherever that you are. If you can't function in what we call the norm, then that's where I have to now step in. So if you're depressed and you now can't focus at work, or you're having problems, or you're having anxiety at school, whatever mental health problems that you might have that are hindering you from being successful in your daily life and having to have problems with functioning, that's where I have to step in as a therapist and then find ways to help you either deal with the stress or alter the environment to ensure that it's comfortable for whoever. So where I work, I'm currently working in the Northern Cape in a mental health facility, and we have state patients. So by state patients, it's patients that have committed crimes. And these patients, I would say there are roughly 150 in my hospital. And I would say 115 of them are men and 35 are women, which just goes to show that there's a lot more affecting men to the point whereby they end up committing these horrendous crimes sometimes because they are no longer in the correct state of mind. Sometimes their mental health is overlooked from a young age, where when we go back to the past and we find out what actually is your history, what is your family history, we look through it and we realize that there are so many things that have been missed either at home or actually in their own behavior at school and whatever. Maybe at school they would say no, they are troublesome or they're just being boys, but there's actually an underlying mental illness that's there that isn't diagnosed. And if something is not diagnosed and it's not treated like an infection in your body, if you don't take antibiotics, it's going to get worse. So if you don't take your medication and you don't start therapy as soon as you can, then your mental health does get worse over time. Because now, if you're schizophrenic and you start hallucinating, you're going to start believing the hallucinations and you take them in as something that is reality, other than you going to therapy and getting the correct medication that you need. So men's mental health is normally overlooked in those ways, because when people are growing up and the families are just also in the space of this person, it's a lot of stresses that are coming onto the person, and men don't normally speak out because there's this stigma surrounding men's mental health. And it's normally just a thing of, oh, men don't cry. I know most people know that. So people know that saying where it's just men don't cry, men don't speak about their feelings. But then I would encourage people to speak out. I would encourage people to find someone that is a safe space. It doesn't have to be a family member. It doesn't have to be a friend. It can be someone that's a therapist, someone that can keep everything that you say to them confidential. Or even if it is a friend, even if you see someone struggling, I encourage that you ask that person to speak up, or you take the first step and you ask them if they're okay. We always need to check in on our friends, and we always need to check in on our strongest friends. That's what I always say, because the strongest people are always holding the biggest burdens. And it's always just like that imbalance in people's lives where they're just like, okay, there's so much happening in my life, there's so much stress happening, and they try to block it out to the point whereby their whole mental system shuts down and they end up committing crimes where they just black out. Most of the patients here don't even remember committing the crimes that they've committed because they just black out to the point whereby their whole brain just shuts down and they need to kind of reset. So when the theme of today is renewing minds and restoring hope, I just thought of how we need to teach people to ask about mental health, and we need to be better parents because we are the new generation of parents. So we also need to be better parents and try to ensure that our children and all of our children, girl children and boy children, we need to make sure that we are their first support system, because there's no way that anyone can just fall apart without having a support system. You need to have a strong foundation so that you don't crumble and fall, or that you don't eventually have a crash out. So most of the times we need people to have a strong foundation, and it starts at home. We need to make sure that our friends are okay. We need to make sure that our friends are also held accountable for the things that they do. We also need to be held accountable for the things that we do. We need to be held accountable for the things that we do and say to people that could impact the way they feel about themselves or the way they think about themselves. So in that we all need to be wary of what we say and how we think, but we also need to have empathy at the end of the day and think of how some people may just need to be taught something. They need to be guided rather than attacked for acting a certain way, or rather than being bashed for taking a decision that they didn't know was bad at that time. That's why people can go to either a mental health facility or they can go to jail, depending on their mental state. Because we believe that through therapy, you can teach someone that, listen, since you're not born with the social skills that other people have, there's a way to learn that. You can teach someone how to do something. Some of the people that are here are very low functioning, and you need to teach them almost everything because we normally say they have like a childlike mentality. So it's like you're teaching a child something new. Even if someone has dementia, you have dementia, you commit a crime, you don't remember. You don't even remember to take your medication. So those people need assistance in life, and most of them don't even have families. Some of them haven't seen their families in years because once they're in the mental health facility, their families just think that they're here to be dumped. They don't need to be in contact with them anymore. And that's not even the case. Yes, we are taking care of them and we're ensuring that they get every need that they get, but they don't get the social contact from their families. So it all does start with family, and it all does boil down to the fact that all of us need to be accountable for whatever we do, and we have to be accountable for our actions. And I really do believe that if we can teach people at a younger age to speak up, we're no longer telling our kids, men don't cry, and we can't.
Okay, I know that Ntavseng has load shedding. I think,
Sorry.
yeah, she's back.
Yes, I do. Sorry.
That's fine.
Am I still on? Yes, I can take questions.
Yes. Okay. Not yet, though. I thought maybe you'd want to leave early because of load shedding.
I might. I'm just hoping that it carries on up until my time is done here.
Okay, so can we take 3 questions right after you?
Yes, we
you.
definitely can.
Okay.
But yeah, just I think I can just conclude quickly. Yeah, so for me, men's mental health does matter a lot because I'm seeing it firsthand. I work in a hospital that has an influx of male patients, meaning that, and most of the time when I hear these stories, everyone kind of has the same background. It's a low socioeconomic status. It's people trying to hustle for a living. It's parents that were alcoholics, maybe. And sometimes, like, their background builds up the person that they become in future. And when their mental health is overlooked, we then now have people committing crimes because they now having this blackout and their mental health isn't taken care of. So for me, I just think therapy is needed, and having a diagnosis as soon as you can and as soon as possible is the best therapy ever that you can get, because once you're on your medication, you're able to correct the imbalance in your hormones. And once you start therapy, you start learning life skills and you start learning behavior modifications that you can go through in order to be able to function in society and in your own environment. So yeah, thank you so much though for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure, Tabsing. Okay, guys, Tabsing has to leave because of load shedding, so she will be taking just 3 questions. So it's either you can write it down or you can join in and ask the question. If there's anybody who has a question, you can speak. All right. Is there anybody who has a question? Going once?
Yeah. I can go
Okay.
first. Hi, Dieketseng, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ezra?
I'm well, thanks. Oh, you have such an interesting career. I'll say that. Anything related to the mind is just so intriguing. So recently, I don't. Okay, you said you're an occupational therapist, which I'm assuming obviously has to do with the workplace and not necessarily maybe like family dynamics or relationship dynamics. Can I ask questions maybe in that field if you are able to answer?
Occupational therapist, it's actually everything. So it's an occupation. I check out occupations. So an occupation can be work, an occupation can be being a mother, an occupation can be being a
Okay,
scholar, it can be being anything. It doesn't have to be the workplace specifically.
okay, awesome. So I have met a lot of men who it's almost as if they don't they lived too long within their suffering, and there's a saying that says that as men we live lives of quiet desperation, right? And I think it's been going on for so long that a lot of the men I encounter don't even know that they're living these lives. So for them it's the normal, like it's just normal to wake up and go to bed depressed, um and feeling the worst and feeling like you could just end it at any point in time. So when I come across someone like this, and this person is smiling, this person is happy, this person's like, hey Ezra, let's go get drinks. Ezra, let's go do one thing, one, two, three, and I can see the suffering behind this person. Um, I don't know how to bridge that gap. How do I bridge that gap? Do I call them and say, "Hey, man, you look like you're suffering"? Do I say, "Hey, I'd really like to talk to you"? Like, how can I say open that avenue? Because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to meet that person there.
Okay. I like that question because it is quite difficult to get men to speak up about mental health issues. So
Mm,
I think it would be to firstly introduce being open just within your friendship, man. Like, just being able to be vulnerable around your friends, not even when times are tough, but even when times are good, even when things are going well for you, just learn to be vulnerable around your friends. Even if you've got a great job, just tell them sometimes, be like, hey guys, I'm so grateful for this and that. Like, sometimes they'll be like, why are you in your feels? But then you'll be like, no, man, like, we can talk about stuff like this. It can be something that is very open. So to the point whereby you guys are even so comfortable around each other that you're like, hey man, I'm going through some financial problems. But sometimes you're not able to see it until it's too late. And
Yes,
in that
yes.
point, that's where you're now going to have to pull them aside and just be in their environment. Don't pull them out, but you go to their environment wherever they're comfortable and you speak to them and you're just like, no, look, man, I've been noticing things are off with you. Like maybe even count the things that are off. Like you used to do this, but you no longer do it. Like, is there something going on? Are we missing something? Is everything okay at home? Like when you make someone feel comfortable around you, they'll definitely loosen up and start to be able to tell you what is actually going on. And if you can also sense that they're not wanting to talk more about something, just be like, okay, it's fine. You can hit me up anytime though, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if
Yes,
you're not
yes,
feeling like
yes.
talking right now. But you don't have to keep being persistent. Be like, hey man, I can see you're not okay. I can see, I can see, I can see, I can see.
Yeah.
You just have to be like, it's fine. If you don't want to talk about it, just know that I'm always willing to listen and I'm always willing to help wherever I can. I hope I
Okay.
answered your question.
Yeah, that does answer my question because normally what I see is if maybe I try to bring it up, it's always like we just laugh it off. It's like, haha, it is what it is, that's just how it like if I'll say something like, hey guys, I really struggle with maybe feeling insecure or whatever, then you'll just laugh it off to say, no man, just be a man, don't be scared. And then you laugh it off and that's the end of that conversation. Whereas what I think you're saying is to say, no, not necessarily laugh it off, like you can still laugh and be comfortable, but just maybe be real. And if they try to dismiss it, maybe that's like they don't know how to handle it themselves, you know what I mean? So that their automatic default is to laugh it off. And I'm like trying to get over that barrier of them just trying to like laugh it off or them trying to just dismiss it as it is what it is. So what I'm getting from you is to say, okay, maybe let me just be real. Maybe let me be the first one to say, hey, can I talk to you? Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that's what you're saying, right? And then see if they meet me there.
Most definitely.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. That's it. I'll give someone else a
Thank you,
chance.
Ezra. Okay, we have Glam Queens. So I'm saying Glam Queens asks, do you do therapy sessions for free? And how do we get you if we want advices from you? Therapists
I
don't
should
give
answer
advice.
and say I can chat to you for free. I don't think it'll be therapy because that'll need face to face rather than over the phone. So if you're having problems or if you have something that you wanted to talk to me about, you can definitely send me a DM because like you said, I am having load shedding right now. So I don't think I spoke a lot. But if you do want to know more or if you want to hear more, you can shoot me a DM. I don't mind.
Okay. Are you answered, Glam Queen? Okay, I'll assume that she is answered. And so I'm saying I don't have a question, but I would like you to explain this a bit, right? I've done OT many times. So in OT, you do stuff. So this is a bag and it's got God, beauty, stuff that I wrote when I was really depressed. And I think I'm not sure how OT comes in, but just creating stuff. And I'm saying you're gonna have to explain that. Maybe just show you the stuff that I've done. But it's very fun. I also have paintings in the house. I have belts that I made in OT. And I think at a time when you are really, really depressed and you can't talk or you can't express yourself, making things is the only way you can communicate. So I really enjoyed OT. So I'm saying, can you please explain more about how this helps when you are not okay or just in general?
Okay, so there's something like deeper. So for us, even when we write notes, we go into more detail. Ne? Even when you were making those things, I'm sure there was a theme attached. Maybe there were positive affirmations or gratitude or self-love, something attached to it. But because we're not psychologists, we don't just sit down and just talk to you, ne? Sometimes talking doesn't just help. So you will think that you are just making a bag, but at the end of the session, you will talk about how it made you feel. You will express how your emotions were through that. So we do therapy in that way that yes, you are eventually going to express your emotions at the end of the session, but if someone is depressed, they don't want to bath, they don't want to shower, they don't want to do things that bring them joy, they don't want to do a lot of things. But if you make something and you see an end product, you're going to be like, wow, I can actually do something. Like, I'm actually like doing something worthwhile, you're actually making something. So I think it's easier to see the product rather than to hear, oh, okay, you're doing so great, like you've made the step. So I think it's easier to just do something and then reflect at the end than to just talk as if you would in psychology, because I mean, that's what a psychologist is. They're there for you to talk about your feelings and all of that, but then in OT you kind of express them in a different way.
Okay. Thank you so much. Are you going to leave now?
May I
I
ask
think
one more?
Ezra said he wanted to ask one more question.
Yeah,
Okay,
actually, I
Ezra
have
wants to ask.
17,
Okay.
but one is fine. Um, okay, so yeah, I'm trying to see which one I should prioritize. Okay, as someone, because I personally am somebody who felt as if I always had to be the strong one for everyone else. So I always had to sideline my own feelings and my own emotions, which kind of went hand in hand with me having the belief of, um, my feelings don't matter, my feelings aren't important. What is important is that I get it done. Whatever that needs to be done is done. So obviously now because I'm trying to change and I'm trying to be better and actually be a more empathetic person and sympathetic person, someone who actually feels emotions because I really struggle to do that. Um, how what advice would you have to me going forward? Okay, it's so hard to structure this. Sorry. What advice could you give to me that could help me be a more like, if possible, to practice either like more empathy and sympathy, like just to be a more emotional, to be more emotionally tuned, right? What advice can you help me to be more emotionally tuned, as well as how can I stop that thing of putting other people and their needs first over mine, because that's the way I've always lived my life. And I know consciously that it's bad for me to do that because I'm basically the sacrificial lamb here, and I don't want to be the sacrificial lamb anymore. I want to like put myself first. So yeah, if you could assist with that.
Okay, I hear you. I think in that instance, you need to find someone that's going to be your support system. But like most people say, there's a saying that says you need to fill your own cup first before you fill others' cups. Or if you're in an airplane, you need to put on your own mask, your own oxygen mask before you put on someone else's. And that means you need to help yourself before you help others. You can't now be someone that has low energy and you yourself are feeling very anxious or you're feeling very down, and then you go and try to cheer someone else up. It's going to drain you mentally as well, because now you're taking from something that has no power. So you have to ensure that you fill up your own cup first before you go and try to be the superhero in someone else's movie. You can't always be the helper. You can't always be the sacrificial lamb. So you have to also find someone that can be your support system, someone that you trust, someone that you talk to before you feel like, okay, now I'm losing my mind, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to fill your own cup, is if you also let out some of your stresses and you vent. Even if you write it down, if you don't trust anyone, then that's fine, because you
Mm-hmm.
can trust your own book. So it doesn't matter. Me, I have a notes app on my phone and I keep it locked, because yeah, sometimes you just need to vent, and if there's no one there, it's like, it's better than taking it out on someone that's innocent, because that's what sometimes happens.
Mm. Wow. Thank you.
Mm, okay, Lunga.
Yeah, thank you so much. In terms of saying, so my question is more for everyone else, I think. Well, it's like, does there come a time where you are healed, like, or is it a continuous journey?
Where you heal from mental health.
Yeah, like I'm assuming you get a lot of clients that will come through with a lot of issues. My question is there a time where you can say I'm healed, like Kishap, or I'm good now?
No, there isn't. If you're diagnosed with a mental illness, if it's bipolar, if it's schizophrenia, depression, whatever it is, it can come and go. So you can be okay and you can also relapse. It can depend on if you're not taking your medication or if you've stopped going to therapy, but most of the times you can manage it. But there's never a time where you can say, okay, I'm stopping my medication, I'm not taking my pills anymore, I've healed, I'm all good. Because yeah, in a sense, we have to try and live with it, unfortunately, because yeah, most of my patients, even when they leave here, um, we tell them that you can't stop taking your medication, because that's the one thing that helps balance the hormones.
Mm. And then maybe finally, final question. I think also this is the one for the gents. Um, let's see, there's a sensitivity. One is maybe weak or less than, and they go to therapy, or when they take the medication that you speak of. Um, or what would you say to that type of guy?
No, man.
There's a lot of stigma that's surrounding men's mental health and therapy. So like I said, most of the time people aren't encouraged to speak up and to speak out. And it all starts with us. So these platforms, like we're getting given now, are a really good place to start, because now we have people that are tuning in and people are learning more about men's mental health. And the more they learn, they also speak about it to other people. And, word of mouth is very strong nowadays. So I believe that the more we advocate for men's mental health, the more people are aware that speaking out is a good thing. And there are a lot of shows even these days that even can like portray and show us what it's like living with mental health and what it's like living with mental illness. So I do believe social media can take us a long way as well.
Okay. Final question, host. Um, what would you say to the men that are going through, depression? Because most men and people in general know that there's something wrong, but they really can't put a finger on what is it that is wrong. So in that case, men who have like homes, like they got their wife and kids, um, what kind of advice would you give them when they want to start going on that journey? Because most of them fear that skeletons will come out, or they fear that they'll be so crippled by whatever comes out that they will not be able to meet their duties, like of being a husband and being a father. Would you recommend also group therapy? Let's say the husband is the one going through things. Would you recommend that they go together, and kids and so on? How does the family structure get supported? Let me throw in work also, because sometimes when a man burns out, I think you mentioned that that you were speaking, that he will crash at some time, at some point. And when you crash, your business, work, and other things kind of crumble. So, how do you, what kind of advice do you give to those type of men? Mind, I'm genuinely just asking these questions for the guys here
Okay.
with me. How do they now go about healing themselves, getting the medication? First of all, get diagnosed and then get the medication and the support. But sometimes not even a pill, but it's more of a, like I think you mentioned, it's therapy and maybe writing things down, kind of meditating and so on. But what kind of advice would you give? I hope my question was clear.
Okay. Sometimes it's too late. Like sometimes you just feel like you're about to crash out. So there's even helplines, ne, where you can even call at any time of the night. You just have to search online because some of them are very specific to the situation, be it suicide, be it with drugs or alcohol or whatever. So sometimes you can start by calling a helpline and they will be able to direct you to the correct channels because it depends on if you are just going to voluntarily go for yourself to a mental health facility or if they're going to have to assist you in that manner, you know. So it definitely depends on how you're feeling. And if you do want to talk to a therapist and if you feel like okay, you can catch it before you now crashing out, then that's great. You can definitely start going to a therapist. I believe people need to go to a therapist on the regular. It doesn't need someone to have a mental illness for you to go to a therapist. I have a therapist that I also go to because we are all human. It's our first time on this planet. It's our first time living. So we are all bound to make mistakes and we're all bound to make decisions that we sometimes need assistance with. It's not that everyone is a superhuman, you know. So definitely look for help, seek assistance, even if it's not a professional. But I do recommend a professional because sometimes people don't have your best interests at heart, and sometimes you can get the wrong advice. So seek out professional help. It can be over the phone. Most helplines are free, so you can call at any time and they'll be able to direct you correctly to where you should go from then on. And most of the time, you can even get that counseling over the phone if you do feel like you might be suicidal, you might be feeling too overwhelmed at that point in time.
100%. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank
gents,
you.
therapy, 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 therapy. Important. Yeah, well, thank
Oh,
you.
okay, cool. So I was saying I will give them resources. I have one specifically for men. I did put ones for general. Lunga, you can go on my excuse me, on my profile. I do have, but then on Saturday I would have finished the resources for men specifically. So I'll send them to you as well.
No, no, all good. No, I've got all of them. I was genuinely asking for the gents because I know
You,
gents
oh,
ask questions. I even saw someone saying he
okay.
didn't know without the info. But
But can you
awesome.
send to me? Maybe can you send to me, please?
Yeah, I'll share with you. I also saw my coach who trained me in life coaching. He joined the meeting also. So yeah, I will share what I can, and it would be great. It'd be also great to connect with on-site staying and other gents here too, outside of
Yeah.
this meeting. That'd be really awesome.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm saying I'm going to close, and then after that, you'll take questions for everybody. And then I don't know if you want to stay for my closing.
I'm so sorry. I have low battery, guys. Thank you so much for
Okay,
having
that's
me.
okay. Thank you so much, Ntabsing.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye. Um, guys, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So if you want to engage, Shimai, I don't know if you would like to engage tonight. Um, you can just join in. Then we can have a discussion. If you have any questions, we can have a discussion. But can you please keep it focused on men? I understand that as women, we all have, things that we want to talk about when it comes to our mental health. But today, like I said, it's Men's Mental Health Day. So if you want to know more, you can ask tomorrow because tomorrow is World Mental Health Day. So let's just stick to men. Let's support them. Let's give them the platform and remind them that they are acknowledged. And also, what I got from everybody in essence is that God is important. I think for men especially, I think we're talking with I don't remember who I was talking with. I don't know if it was you, Shimai, the other day when I was asking why are men so afraid of their spirituality, of their salvation. And to hear every man get in here and praise God, I love that. I love that. End of the day, especially with mental health, we can get medication. I'm on medication. We can get medication, we can get therapy. But like Ezra said, Jesus is the one that can take the load. And then also, with Nthabiseng, she said that we need to acknowledge, well, I'm paraphrasing, we need to acknowledge that mental illness exists. Therefore, we can better take care of our mental health because we have, especially in men, generally men are like, I'm fit, I'm something, and you don't want a bodlela, you want to talk, you want to, and because they've already dismissed you, you'll go for that bodlela. Because if you come and you say, Mchita, I'm not okay, and then it's, I'm cheating, why is some fuzzy? Already you're dismissed as a cool man. So if you acknowledge it, that's fine. That's good, actually. I encourage that. And then another thing I got from everybody is talk, 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 talk. Like, even if it's on posts, I've seen people like vent on, not really vent, but offload on people's posts. And I love that. I love that, even though people specifically are not, their posts are not specifically for mental health, but the fact that they talk about something that everybody can relate to, it makes us feel better, especially the men. There are people who post stuff like they post their picture and then they ask a question, and I get very impressed when the questions are directed to men. And the one thing I have gotten to understand while I was preparing for this, and I was very shocked, is that men care. I'm gonna stand on top of a mountain and I will shout, men care. When I was doing my post and I was looking for songs, I realized that men sing about caring for women. Women sing about mjolo. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it just shows that men do care and they do take seriously, even though they will never admit it. They do take seriously the being the provider, being the comforter, being the protector of the home, being the head of the household. I'm going to give two songs. I love them so much because they are from men and they are caring songs. One is from Life Jennings, Statistics. He is warning us women about men. And then the other one is from Jagged Edge, Head of Household. I love that one as well because they are talking about how the man obviously is the head of the household. And then the next one is Be Able to Be Spoken to. I mean, most of us, we can dismiss people. We can really dismiss people. I do have a post where I say, if you're going to go to somebody and you're offloading, and then somebody says, but Ulunga man, Ulunga is also going through the same thing when ukhalelani. Or, man, it's okay. Just, figure ulale. Guys, please, let's be easy to be spoken to. Then in that way, it's easier for, like, it minimizes the risk of people unaliving themselves. And I think I have to point this out as well, that depression is higher in women, but unaliving is higher in men. I did give the statistics the other day. And Lunga asked, do you heal? And Tafsing said, no, it is a journey, and I truly believe that. And I'm also a huge believer in medication and therapy. I know people are going to fight me about the medication part, but I'm glad that Tafsing is a therapist. She emphasized that therapy and medication helps. But also for those who cannot afford therapy, there's free resources. There's a lot of free resources. It's just that we don't know about them. When I was preparing for this, I there's a question I really want to ask. Can any of you give me 2 organizations that are focused on men's mental health? 2. I'll wait and yeah, and I'll ask you, did I lie? And even if you know or you've read about them, like even if you have heard about them, you don't know anything about them. It's just something that you just see, but because it's focused on men, you just scroll through. So I will be giving those headlines, but then we know, yeah, okay, that one is very famous because also it involves women. But then I was asking for, is headlines only for men, Lunga, or it's for everybody? I'm not
Um,
sure now.
well, none I'm not quite sure, but I know that they've
It's
got
it's 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 for both.
yeah, I think so. But they've got a really specific campaign that's like focused on men. They even have they have like a WhatsApp. I'm part of it. I get WhatsApp messages and so on. So they've got fathers matters and other things there. So I think they're really one. Why I'm raising them up is because they're very interactive.
Mhm.
Once you go into them and you touch base and you share what's bothering you, they're with you and they touch base with you regularly, once or twice a week or something like that. It's really cool.
Okay, thank you. And with that said, anybody question, going once, going twice, remark anything to any of the speakers or to myself? But like I said, it's not about me, it's not about females today. So if you want to know anything, please pose it to the men. It's their day. And I'm not a man, I can't be a man, and I'll never teach a man how to be a man. So they must answer their own questions. You can take them through me, but they must answer. Okay. And with that said, we have come to the end. And guess what? We kept time. Isn't this amazing? Black people kept time.
Well, it's because it's men.
Yes. You see, women, 1, men, 1, women, 0. I'm joking. Okay, let me close, guys. So our theme was renewing minds, restoring hope, and it was just a theme, but then I decided that I'm gonna use it as my slogan because it means so much. And with every speaker that spoke, there is something about renewing the mind and restoring hope. I know Brian, I think it's yeah, Brian did say, even no matter how hard it gets, just have a little hope. And in the Bible, it does say, as little as a mustard seed, it can take you a long way. So here's what renewing minds and restoring hope means for me, but also especially in the context of men's mental health. So renewing minds, this speaks to the transformation of how men think about themselves, about their emotions, and about their strength. It's about breaking the mental cycles of silence, shame, and self-blame, and replacing them with clarity, truth, and self-compassion. In men's mental health, renewing mind means unlearning the lie that vulnerability is a weakness, reframing failure as growth, reprogramming thoughts to align with healing and purpose. It's the inner work where faith meets mental wellness, where men begin to think differently about who they are and what they carry. I am going to repeat the scripture again. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that is Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And this is what restoring hope means. When the mind begins to heal, hope returns. Thank you, Brian, for reminding us. And it is not just a feeling, but as a fuel. Restoring hope means reminding men that they can rise again after loss, pressure, or emotional fatigue. It's about reconnecting men to their purpose, faith, and brotherhood, showing that their story isn't over, that healing is possible, and that you are not alone. In men's mental health, restoring hope looks like finding strength in the community, seeing light after the breakdown, hope, believing again in the future that God has for you. And with that said, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to Ezra and Tabseng, Sia, who unfortunately he had to go. He had another commitment, but at least I'm very grateful that he managed to come in for that 15 minutes. Brian and Lunga, and this is to the future of men's mental health advocacy. We are going to do this. This is like the first of many. We need this. And it would be nice
Hallelujah.
if a man came and joined me so that it's easier if it's men to men. And I don't want to get to a point where I have to answer questions about men. I think that would be unfair and that would be an injustice. So if there's a man who'd like to collaborate with me, you can join
I'm on
me
the way.
anytime.
I'm on the
Thank
way.
you. So we already have Lunga, and thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. During the day, I vomited because I was so nervous. My friends were calling me. Ezra said he was going to the toilet for a number 2. That's how nervous he was. Okay, I'm better because I was throwing up. And my son kept saying, "You'll be fine, mommy. You'll be fine, mommy. You'll be fine, mommy." And I am fine. And I'm more than that. All my speakers came. And remember, guys, that I planned this in less than a month. Less than a month. And I already had speakers. There were still people who wanted to speak. But because of time, I said, "Can we speak? Can you speak on the next one we are going to have?" So thank you so much, everybody. Be blessed and have a good night. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you. God bless.
Yeah, you too, Lunga. Bye.